Hi there, I'm Chef Farley Kaiser from Le Cordon Bleu, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and we're going to talk about some of the fun stuff that you can do with ice cream. Ice cream is really a very basic type of thing that you can make to impress people if it's homemade. But what I'd like to do is just even take it up a notch a little bit more. So one of the first things I want to look at is, as we're approaching fall and you're going into some of these different seasons, we want to take a look at what some of our local breweries have to offer to impart flavor in our homemade ice creams. As you can see from some of these bottles, we've got a Surly brew that is called a Darkness. It's a stout. A stout is going to be a deep, rich, thicker beer. We've also got a pumpkin ale that is really beautiful. Generally, you're not going to see that stuff come out until August, even into September sometime. So it's a perfect time if you're doing some sort of Halloween party or something like that. You can really pull those together for an impression factor for your guests. So I'm going to use a beer called Dragon's Milk Stout. And this is aged in bourbon barrels. It's really high in alcohol content. It's got a 10% alcohol content. And we're going to reduce this down. It's very deep in flavor, and it's got almost a chocolate and caramel-like aroma and flavor to it. It's one of those beers that you probably would do well to have one beer and you'd sip it and drink it a little bit. I wouldn't probably plan on doing much more than that because it's, again, very high in alcohol content. So we're just going to go ahead and reduce this down. So what we have here is the mixture of the reduced Dragon's Milk Stout. And as you can see, the texture and the viscosity has thickened up quite a bit, almost to a syrup-like consistency. We're going to take it almost to nappé. Nappé, if you'll remember, is when you drag it along a spoon and you drag your finger through it and it stays separated. It coats the back of a spoon. And that's really what we're looking for. Now this mixture is going to be very bitter. So if you were to taste this right now, it's going to make your mouth pucker, and it's not going to probably be something that you think is going to be a beautiful end product. But I promise that you will not be disappointed. Okay, so to get started with the basic ice cream mixture, it's going to be a custard-based mixture, and it's very similar to what we call a crème anglaise. But the flavor that gets imparted into it, once it gets spun into our machine, is really what turns it into the ice cream. We're going to combine 2 cups of milk and 2 cups of heavy cream. I'm also going to add a granulated sugar. Now the granulated sugar has vanilla bean imparted into it already. So I've scraped the inside of a vanilla bean, taken out all those tiny little flavor pocket pods, and brought it right down into the sugar. And we're going to add that right in. You can use vanilla extract if you'd prefer. I just really love the look of the vanilla bean as well as the flavor that the natural vanilla brings in. Mix this up, and I'm going to put it over medium heat. What I'm looking for with this medium heat is I'm wanting to make sure that I bring it almost to a boil, more of what we call a scald. I don't want to boil it and burn it. That would just be terrible. We don't want to ruin this beautiful, beautiful mixture that we're going to have going here. Okay, while that is getting started there, I'm going to take 6 egg yolks. I'm going to whisk them up. And really the process of whisking this up is just getting them prepared to accept that warm mixture and to temper properly. The egg yolks, when they cook, after they're added in with the cream mixture, is actually going to be what thickens the sauce. I'm going to adjust my heat, get this milk going, and as you can see, I've got this milk and cream mixture in a wide bottom pan. I also have it in a thicker pan, not a really thin aluminum pan. It's more non-reactive, and I can control what's happening with this milk and cream better. As that starts to come to a scald, almost to a boil, we're going to start the tempering process. So the stout that we have reduced, it's important to understand that we're probably not going to use all of the stout. What we're going to do is we're going to do it by flavor, and that's one of the things that in class your instructors are going to teach you how to do is develop your palate. It's important to understand bitterness and salty and sweet and how they all play off of each other. So the amount that you end up getting from the 2 bottles of beer that we reduced down may vary depending on how bitter you want the ice cream, what you're going to pair it with. All of those factors will come into play. Okay, this has just started to scald. Now, the process that I'm going to do now is called tempering. And what I really want to do is make sure that I'm slowly adding in the warm mixture to the eggs, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to actually cook the eggs. So I'm tempering that mixture together right now. We don't want scrambled eggs. So I'm just heating this egg mixture up, because what I'm going to do at this point, after all of this is in, I don't even have to bring all of it, put all of it in. I've warmed up this egg mixture at this point. I'm going to transfer it back into this pan. And now I'm going to put it back on the heat. We have to watch this process pretty closely because we don't want to burn or overcook, scramble our eggs. And this is the thickening process happening at this point. Now, while this is starting to thicken, I'd like to talk a little bit about the machine that we have here. This is a Cuisinart. It's an industrial tabletop machine, and it is available to purchase for anybody that wants to purchase it. However, I don't see it happening or being used in households very often. More often I see a KitchenAid mixer with an ice cream attachment or a smaller Cuisinart machine. So this is one of the ones that sometimes you'll see here at school. We also have the big, very large industrial spinning machines that we use very often. So if you're doing this at home, you might think about investing in something a little less expensive. You may not be using it quite as much as a restaurant would be using one. So our mixture is just starting to thicken slowly. We're also looking for this mixture to be nappé. And again, coating the back of a spoon. It's not quite there yet, as it just runs off very easily off the spatula. We're just going to continue to stir this as it thickens and heats. So at this point, we see that our mixture has thickened. It's the right temperature. We do have nappé. It's coating the back of a spoon. So we're going to strain this now back into a bowl, just in case we had any coagulated egg. This will also take any other chunks if we had quite a bit of vanilla bean that maybe stuck together. That would help that process. Straining is an important process. So we need to make sure that we always do that. We finish our sauces that way. Now, our ice cream is not going to set up properly and spin if we don't cool it down and chill it. So with this process, we would end up chilling this for quite a long time, a few hours maybe. So what I've done while this is chilling is I've got a batch that is already cooled. And we're going to flavor this now with our stout beer flavoring. Just going to add in a little bit at a time. Both mixtures are cooled. My ice cream base as well as my stout ice cream reduction, or my stout beer reduction, are both cooled. I'm going to taste. That's a beautiful flavor. I am going to add a little bit more because it's not quite as bitter as I would have hoped for. And you see this color and the consistency? It's nice and thick, and that is exactly where I want it. Now, in our industrial machine, we're going to pour it right into this little hole right here. The base in this is frozen. So we'll actually turn it on and we'll pour directly in. This is going to go for about 25 minutes. And at that point, then you would put it back into the freezer to harden it up just a little bit firmly. So we're going to let this go for about 25 minutes and we'll check on it in a little while. So now that you know exactly what to do and how to impart flavor in a basic creme anglaise ice cream recipe, I dare you to be creative.